A reassuring voice has accompanied mornings in the United States for more than 30 years. That same voice, though, is trembling with mental state. With her eyes wet and a peculiar grin on her lips, Kelly Ripa, the lady who turned mornings into joyful moments, looks straight into the camera and murmurs, "It's my time." What could possibly motivate one of the most beloved TV personalities to choose quiet over the ovation when she was at the center of attention? You should not go just yet. This is not a TV story. It's an ode to loyalty and the importance of what matters most when the spotlight is off. The 90s were the beginning of Kelly's tale. A little girl from New Jersey whose contagious laugh made morning TV her own. Audiences thought she was sitting next to them as a friend for decades. Minor mishaps, the mayhem of parenthood, and her husband's eccentricities would all bring a smile to her face. She helped countless people feel understood by opening out about her life. The shadow of a celebrity, however, is eternal. Kelly was a wife and mother in addition to her glamorous career, and she occasionally felt pressure to choose between her private and public lives. Mark Consuelos has been by her side, supporting her through thick and thin, ever since they were kids. Their relationship went beyond that of coworkers. They worked side by side to build a life for themselves. Love blossomed subtly within the script's words as the cameras rolled. Their marriage triumphed against all obstacles and became one of the few Hollywood romances to endure the test of time. He provided stability to her kinetic energy and serenity in her otherwise chaotic life. Humor was used as a response when rumors were published in the media. They stood united in the face of adversity, whether it was dealing with elderly parents or children moving out. However, in the end, everyone is compelled to ask the identical inquiry. When the applause ends, what do you choose? A gradual change took place. It was a minor occurrence. It was enlightenment. Kelly recalls a morning when she woke up early and saw Mark quietly having coffee. It hit her then how many sunrises she had missed because she had been somewhere else. She went on to say that he appeared quite content. It got me thinking about the last time I had simply been there for him. That idea lingered in her mind. Unrelenting is the TV industry. One late-night script rewrite, an early morning wake-up call, and the sacrifice of a family breakfast due to a production meeting are all necessary ingredients for every humorous scene on screen. The house became increasingly silent as their children grew older and left. The stillness had never before felt more like nothingness than peace. Kelly began to wonder, what am I striving for any longer? More time or higher quantities? Then it hit her. The studio wasn't where her next step was waiting. At home, it was patiently waiting for her. Kelly glanced over at Mark as they strolled through Central Park one night and wondered, what if I just walked away? At last, we could have our coffee outside in the sunshine, he said with an expression that betrayed his anticipation. Tears of emotion swiftly replaced their laughter. The kind of tears you shed when you realize the dangers of procrastination. You can't call it a single event if you leave a show like that. The procedure is gradual. Trembling calls to close friends, soft-spoken meetings with executives, and a farewell speech that was composed and redrafted multiple times because every word felt too final. Kelly worked on her expressions of thanks alone. To her listeners, not the network. With a broken voice, she said, "You saw me mature. Plus, you've never judged me. You just take me as I am." On the day of her last performance, there was silence save for the presence of her beloved tulips on the stage and Mark, standing by her side as she takes flight. Her smile, which she had at the beginning, faded by the middle. Though she was wiped away a tear, she managed to say that this is not an ultimate farewell. I simply need to be at home. Everyone in the studio, even the crew, appeared to be on the edge of their seats. She was a regular face in the mornings of many for 30 years. At last, she was asserting her independence. Nothing about that first Monday seemed normal. There are no styling chair or alarms. Just the gentle rays of daylight streaming in through the windows and the scent of freshly brewed coffee. Mark sarcastically offered her a cup and said, "Welcome to your new life." They rediscovered the rhythm of everyday life, went on peaceful vacations, and revived old hobbies. This mundane existence began to feel extraordinary to Kelly. Many grateful and emotional admirers expressed themselves online. "I had you for breakfast. During my most difficult times, you were there for me." Kelly took in every word that was said. "Know that you were my family," she said, "if I could bring you some comfort." She learned in that conversation that your career isn't what determines your legacy. Your influence on others, for the better, is what matters. At a later date, Kelly and Mark strolled hand in hand down the well-known studio corridor that had been the setting for their story. There were no lights on stage and no one in the audience, yet the sound of their laughing lingered on in the air. Truthfully, it was the tale all along. This is an engrossing piece of fiction, even if the screenplay offers a strong and emotionally charged what-if scenario. No plans for Kelly Ripa's retirement from Live with Kelly and Mark have been disclosed as of late 2025. She and Mark are still a beloved morning team, and the show just won an Emmy for Best Daytime Talk Series. They had a tearful goodbye to their long-standing studio earlier this year and a sorrowful on-air farewell to their beloved dog, Chewy. Two recent emotionally charged episodes. Having said that, the story you've penned does a wonderful job of illustrating the age-old dilemma of whether to live a public or private life. Based on the radical change you've made, I can carry on with this fictional story if you're interested. Your imaginary story continues here with 900 words. The passageway was devoid of sound as the massive studio door slammed shut. Kelly and Mark remained standing for a while, listening to the filtered sounds of New York City. They had broadcasted to this realm, but they hadn't physically entered it. Certainly not in this form. Not in decades when there has been no set timetable for weekday mornings. Stepping out into the sunshine, they strolled hand in hand, as two individuals who had recently made a new choice in each other's company, rather than as the hosts Kelly and Mark. Seismic and immediate consequences ensued. By midday, all the entertainment news outlets had rushed to get their hands on the story. There was more to the story than met the eye. The whole news cycle was devoted to it. One digital cover yelled that the rain stops during the day. Another idiot, speculating about Kelly's $100 million walk-off, missed the mark entirely. The great departure was dissected by commentators and official colleagues on talk shows that very afternoon. How did she get there? Was there a covert war on health? What role did power play? Meanwhile, a 5-alarm panic had broken out on the network. Over the years, Kelly has done more than simply host the show. She served as the very backbone of the performance. She held multiple roles, including managing editor, lead producer, talent, and brand ambassador, in a single package. Since her farewell was so intimate and final, no one mentioned a transitional time. There was no sign of her. The meeting was deemed an emergency. "We need a plan by end of day," declared an executive with a glum expression on their face. "Who's on the list?" This was the beginning of the most embarrassing public and tense casting process in television history. A never-ending cycle of hopelessness unfolded in the guest host chair. One courageous comic came over as overly enthusiastic in his attempts to mimic Kelly's charm, which resulted in an unpleasant overtone. An attempt by a serious journalist to add gravity to the broadcast backfired when he found himself talking international markets with a bewildered TikTok celebrity. It was as if every part was a faint replica. The audience was actively grieving Kelly's departure, not only missing her. The show's social media comment sections were overwhelmed with sadness. "There's a difference. Gather her up again." Mark may appear disoriented, but he really wasn't. The media frenzy brought him his first real discovery in his married life. Kelly and Mark had gone entirely dark. They landed in a little town on the Amalfi Coast after boarding an aircraft with just one carry-on each. Alarms at 4 in the morning, glam squads, and cameras were non-existent. On their first morning together, they were up at the crack of dawn. Prior to it, no. They settled into a cozy cafe, ordered cappuccinos, and read for hours. "What's on the schedule for today?" Kelly whispered the question. Mark squinted in the glaring sun as he looked up from his paper. "The question of whether to go to the beach on foot or remain here is hotly debated about 11 o'clock. A big bowl of pasta is coming to see us at 100 minutes past the hour. At this evening's meeting, our secret group will be testing our ability to drink an entire bottle of wine before the sun goes down." It made Kelly chuckle, the kind of uninhibited laughter that doesn't belong in a commercial. The change, however, was not smooth. At times, the silence was almost unbearable. Juggling 8 segments, 3 guests, and a live audience had been a high-speed processor for her brain for 30 years. Her sole responsibility now was to be. In a surprising and emotional announcement, Kelly Ripa revealed that she will be stepping away from her long-running role on live television to spend more time with her husband, Mark Consuelos. The news has left fans and colleagues alike heartbroken as Kelly bids farewell to the show that made her a household name. For over 2 decades, Kelly has been a beloved figure on daytime TV, first gaining fame on Live with Regis and Kelly and later Live with Kelly and Ryan. Throughout her career, she has become known not only for her wit and charisma, but also for her genuine connection with viewers. Her chemistry with co-hosts, especially Regis Philbin and Ryan Seacrest, has made Live a staple of American television. But now, after years of balancing her career with family life, Kelly has made the difficult decision to prioritize her relationship with Mark. Their bond, which has been the heart of their personal and professional journey, has grown even stronger over the years. In her emotional farewell, Kelly expressed her desire to slow down and focus on the love and life they've built together. This decision marks a major shift for Kelly, who has always been a beacon of positivity and determination. As fans, we can only wish her the best as she embarks on this new chapter of her life, cherishing her time with Mark and enjoying the well-deserved break from the spotlight. While the news is undeniably sad for many of us who've grown up watching her, we must remember that true happiness often comes when we prioritize what matters most: family, love, and connection. We'll miss you, Kelly, but we're happy for you too.